So we are now recording. All right, so we're now recording. This is week 7, right? So I've introduced ANN, the perceptron, Hopfield networks. You've actually seen 2 neural networks already. And this second third of the semester is going to be more neural networks. So as I said, eventually it almost feels repetitive, right? So something that may have seemed overwhelming initially with the perceptron, you saw with Hopfield networks, hey, it's familiar. And it just continues like that, right? So that's one really nice thing about neural networks is this eventually, you start to see the familiarity. So by the time we get to deep learning, you already know like 80% of it. You see what I'm saying? It's like you get to deep learning or whatever, and it's like, hey, wait a minute. It's just a very small change. Okay? So one exciting thing about the second third also is, although I'm still going to be doing some things from scratch with NumPy, like we'll do the multi-layer perceptron from scratch. Now we're going to switch gears to PyTorch. Okay, so at this point, today I'm going to introduce basically the state-of-the-art library in PyTorch. So, you want to build a GPT, your own chat GPT, you can train it with PyTorch, right? And so these are extremely powerful libraries. There are 2 big players, TensorFlow and PyTorch. I prefer PyTorch. I started with TensorFlow in 2015, and that was called TensorFlow 1. Now they're up to TensorFlow 2 point something. That's from Google. So Google created the TensorFlow library. And then PyTorch started out as the Torch project by Facebook, which is now Meta. And then recently they created an institute or a foundation or something like that that governs PyTorch as an independent. But it is essentially, a lot of the work is done in PyTorch itself. So this is very powerful. We're also going to start playing with the Scholar GPUs. You're going to need those going forward, not today, because our today we're going to go back to Iris, right? You remember Iris data set? I like going back to Iris because we understand how it works. But very quickly, very soon, we'll look at MNIST, Scifar 10, those data sets, although they're not big data by any means. Once you start training deep neural networks on images, it starts to slow down. All right. So you've already seen with the Weka homework when you tried to train on a multi-layer perceptron, right? And it slowed down. And that was nothing. This is serious, uh, you know, architectures and data. And so you will not be able to train that without a GPU. All right. All right. So first things we're going to do is I'm going to show you, I have a whole write-up blog post type of a thing for this sequence that I'm going to give you. And I think I've given you the link already, but this one applies even more to it. So I'll provide that link. Also, I'm going to provide the link for the GitHub where most of the scripts are going to be. And today we're just going to do a simple sample of Iris. And also, I need to give you the link for Scholar. So today, all I need is for you guys to try to log in. And if somebody is not able to log in, you need to email me and just let me know that you're still having technical problems because I have to do this configuration. So where I have these is, we go to the GitHub. I think they should be here. Yeah, so you can see Scholar. So those 2 links that you see there are the ones. So I'm going to copy these. I use these in several other classes, and I'm going to add it to the course. Cancel here. All right, so we're going to go to Machine Learning Foundations, which is this course. And just at the bottom here somewhere, I'm going to add the links. So as I said, this is just more that I need for you guys to provide this information for me so I can figure it out. Now, the nice thing is still uses Anaconda. It's still the same thing that we're doing. You're just using a machine in the cloud that has a GPU. Does that make sense? And so for some of your assignments going forward, especially the image-based ones, you will need to have a GPU. Okay, so let's go ahead. So what is Scholar? Scholar, as you can see the name, it's the Purdue Systems, uh, you know, cloud system, cloud service is free for you guys to use. But the only problem is, especially, it's got CPUs, lots of CPUs, but it also has GPUs and a few good ones. Um, and what I mean a few really advanced ones, and then just general GPUs. The only problem with this is it's basically for the whole Purdue system, and so it kind of uses this queuing system. And so if there's a lot of demand for GPUs, it may take a while for you to get a GPU. So I don't usually use these for like demos or in-class things, as many people would not be able to get a GPU. But if you're doing your homework assignment, then you should be able to get a GPU at some point. Maybe it'll be at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, but you will be able to get a GPU to finish your assignment. You can do a lot of your code development on your laptop, right? And it's really just when you have to do the run that you go to the GPUs. Is that clear? Does that make sense? All right, great. So just keep that in mind. So a few links, click on this one. I recommend that you read through this whole thing. So read it carefully. These are, commands and instructions on how to use Scholar. Okay. You'll have various things, Jupyter Lab, just normal Jupyter notebooks. You'll have a terminal and you have like a dashboard also, and you can even open up like a desktop of a computer. So it's lots of ways of interacting with this. And so my suggestion is definitely read through this document at some, yes, sir. Yeah, mainly for assignment. So that's an excellent question, right? So there's a lot of you that do gaming, and as you know, GPUs were created for gaming. It just so happens that it's the same operations that you use for AI. So I have a GPU at home. I have an old one, RTX 2080 Ti, and I bought it like 3-4 years ago, and I use it for machine learning all the time. So as long as it's an NVIDIA and it's a version that supports a library called CUDA, it'll work. So what you have to do is, if you have a GPU at home, is make sure it's an NVIDIA one, and then look up like the number. Like for me, it's an RTX 2080 Ti. I think they're up to like 590 now or something like that. So look it up online and just like Google, does this support the CUDA libraries? The VRAM, I think for our purposes, we should be fine. I don't know specifically, like 24 gigs, I think I don't know how much VRAM you have, but 60, I think it's not that, the number is not that high. So I think it should work. The key is, is that GPU, does it support the CUDA libraries? You'll have to Google it. What number do you have? Do you know? Okay, yeah, Google it. I'm not sure, but if you do, it is worth it. And it's actually straightforward. So all you have to do is you'll install a driver, right? For it. And then yeah, so you would need probably to install a driver. And I think that installs the CUDA libraries. And then when you install PyTorch on it, it'll detect the GPU and it just installs it automatically. So it should work like that. And then what I will show you guys later is the commands to make sure that the program can find the GPU and use it. Make sense? Yeah, I do right. If you have one, play with it for sure. And it's nicer to do that. But for those of you that don't have a GPU, you can use the Scholar Cloud, and that works really well. So it's very powerful too. But they have some nice ones. All right. Any other questions, guys? How many of you have GPUs at home? A lot of you. Okay, so yeah, so then yeah, use them. All right. Great. But anyway, for read through these instructions. They should be able to help you. At some point, I will do a demo on how to use Scholar and how I use it essentially in some of the commands. All right, so that one. Now, to make sure the account works, let's go back to so let's click on this one. And you have to log in. So you'll click on that, log in. Just gonna turn this off for a sec. Actually, the recording will. Let me stop it.